Good evening and a warm welcome to Big Budget Business, where we highlight prolific individuals who are making strides in their respective fields. Now, today we have a very interesting conversation with Nyasha Mareya, who is the Executive Director of Loss Management Consultancy International. Nyasha Mareya, welcome to our show.
Thank you for having me, Big Budge.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. Let's start with an introduction, please. Who is Nyasha Mareya? Anything that you'd like to share about us, with us, your background and the like?
Thank you, Big Budge. I grew up in a family of 3 girls, being the middle child of what would soon turn out to be a single-parented family. When my parents divorced, I was around about 12 years of age. And unfortunately, I grew up very introverted from the trauma of watching my parents going through a divorce. But I thank God for the mother that I had. She noticed and she invested in mentoring me, in telling me how much I could be and do all that I desired to be through Christ. She was a staunch Christian, so she would encourage using scripture. And she taught me courage. She told me to pick myself up whenever life would knock me down, and which it did at 19 years when she passed away. I lost my mom at 19. I had to drop out of school to help my sister, who just graduated a few months after my mom passed away, to take care of myself and my little sister. And I'm glad to say, because of that advice that she gave me, I was able to pick myself up and return to school. As we speak right now, I'm a chartered loss adjuster with the Chartered Institute of Loss Adjusters through University of Bournemouth in the UK. And I've got an administrative background. I love company formation, so I've done corporate business administration, corporate business law, and so forth. So basically, they always say there's a rainbow at the end of every storm. After my mom passed away, the greatest highlight of my life is when I met my husband, Lawrence Mareya. And with him, we co-founded Loss Management Consultancy.
Okay.
And literally, we were together for 20 years.
Wow.
But we worked in LM Consultancy for about 18 years because
Majority of that.
Yes, we actually co-founded it as friends before we even got married. That was him and me. So even as I come today, it's in honor of him, because unfortunately I lost him to the fight against COVID. But I'm here to say, because we have worked together, he was part of Nyasha for 20 years. We built a vision together, and I literally wake up every day to run with that vision. I would like to pass down that legacy to the next generation.
Wonderful.
Yes, thank you.
So much. Quite an inspiring background there. Something that I picked up already, which I think we should all always consider, is when you fall, you have to get back up.
Yes.
Resilience is important,
Yes.
definitely. And, let me say my condolences for your loss.
Thank
but
you.
I'm sure Mr. Lawrence is so proud wherever he is right now,
Yes, thank
that
you.
the vision continues
It does
and
continue.
the legacy goes on.
Thank you, Big
Wonderful.
Budge.
So number 2, just share with us a bit about Loss Management Consultancy International, the business, and briefly what it does.
Okay, Loss Management Consultancy was established in March of 2003, firstly in Zimbabwe. And in 2010, this is when we started LMCI in Botswana, and we are now headquartered here in Botswana. Basically, we are into claims loss adjusting, risk management surveys, asset valuations, and we do what we call sampling and superintending, which is just inspections. And also, as CSR, we do training, bespoke training to our customers' needs here and there. So that's basically what LMCI does. Our vision is to stand out for value and expertise.
Okay.
And our mission is to grow and prosper our stakeholders through superior quality risk services and solutions. And if I can share our values as LMCI, we live by wisdom, excellence, integrity, commitment, and stakeholder recognition. That is what we are about as LMCI.
Wonderful, wonderful. Yes. Quite a comprehensive overview of what you do there.
Thank you.
At LMCI. Right, so what I need to remind our viewers at home that, ladies and gentlemen, we are live and we are speaking to Nyasha Mareya, who is the Executive Director of Loss Management Consultancy International. So today we'll be learning a bit about loss management, risk-related aspects. We might touch a bit on insurance, and then we'll see how we as young people in business can fit ourselves into these markets, or people in professional careers, how we can join this particular sphere. So thank you for that. You did mention that you do loss evaluation, adjusting, and the like. Maybe let's start with loss adjusting and assessing. Maybe what exactly is this?
Okay, if I can just to give a background, as a CELA loss adjuster, I'm governed by the CELA Charter and the bylaws, and what they have in there is a definition of who a loss adjuster is,
Right.
and it's an individual or corporate body that is called in to investigate, to manage, to quantify, to validate, and to bring to conclusion any loss or any type of loss, whether insured or uninsured, arising from any contingency, and it goes all the way to the reporting thereof to the appointing principals or to the material parties to the loss. So that's the definition of a loss adjuster. So the loss adjusting that you're talking about stems from this. So claims loss adjusting is basically, God forbid, you buy your house, Big Budge, and it's gutted down by fire. Basically, we're the independent party that is called to site. We come in to investigate the cause of the loss, to validate the loss, to quantify it, to check whether it has occurred from an insurable cause. And if it is, we send our recommendations normally to the insurance companies so that they can make a sound decision based on what we have gathered from site. So that's basically claims loss adjusting.
Wonderful.
Yes.
So you're saying in essence that usually what you do is you would be perhaps maybe appointed by an insurance company as an independent party to assess whether or not my claim as Big Budget is valid if, God forbid, as we say, my house burns down or I experience some type of loss, and then I approach the insurance company for a claim.
Yes.
Okay. No, that's great. That's great. Maybe risk management surveys. You said that, I did check that on your website, you do risk management surveys. What exactly are these?
Okay. What you'll find in essence is every policy runs for maybe a period of a year, so its anniversary is yearly. So at the anniversary of a policy, normally you'd find either insurance companies or the retail broker asking us to go on site to conduct a risk survey. And basically what we do is we go on site literally and we're surveying the property, and what we look for are what we call cope factors: the constructional features, the occupancy, the protection measures against risks at the property, and any exposures that you would find the property faced with to risks. And with that information, basically we draft what we call a survey report, submitted to the principals, and this is where they base their decisions, Big Budget, on whether they want to continue with cover, and if they want to, based on what terms. Do they want to put terms and conditions, warranties, endorsements, to ensure that they limit their exposure to certain risks as insurers? So that's basically risk management surveys there for you.
Okay, wonderful.
Yes.
Thank you so much for that. Ladies and gentlemen, we are live. Please do share any comments and questions that you may have for Nyasha Mareya, who is the Executive Director of Loss Management Consultancy International. So we have touched a bit on what a loss adjuster is, what loss adjustment services are, and then you did talk also about risk management surveys. Maybe talk to us about the asset valuation aspect.
Okay, normally our clients are your reinsurers, reinsurance brokers, the insurance companies, and the retail broker, all the way to the policyholder. This is somebody who's insured. But now this asset valuation sometimes takes us into the general public as well, because under asset valuations, what we simply do is we go in and value buildings, plant and machinery, and motor vehicles as well for insurance purposes. And I have to state this because there are those valuations that are property valuations, the ones that your bank will ask for. That's not what we do. Because with insurance says the onus of ensuring that things are insured at the right value lies with the policyholder. So this is why even when you've got your car big budget, you've got to ensure that it is insured at the correct value, so that if you should find yourself in a traffic accident, you will be indemnified or restored to the position that you were in pre-loss, immediately pre-loss. So you'll find a lot of people saying insurance companies don't pay out. It's simply because most of the times there is a term that we call under insurance. You've not insured at the correct value, and unfortunately they apply penalties such as your average, and you get to suffer and you're not fully indemnified.
All right.
Yes.
That's great. I can see we already have some comments there, but we will get to them. For now, let me ask you about the aspect of superintending and sampling of projects. One would think that perhaps you are an office-based organization. Where does this project aspect come into play?
Okay, basically what we do under superintending, just to make it simpler, is inspections.
Okay.
So you'll find under insurance, there is what we call the marine policy or the goods in transit policy, where they're insuring things that are coming via sea, or that are consignments that are being ferried via road, respectively. And I mean, it can be a mixture of both. But when these things arrive, because they've been exposed, for example, marine, to perils of the sea, and anything could happen because this has been a long journey, what we are appointed to do as specialists is to be at the port of receipt, where we come in. For example, what can I give? Let me take vaccines. We're dealing with the pandemic,
yes.
and we have been told that there's some that need to be kept at specific temperatures and so forth. So for such products that are subject to cold chain systems, we would come in and inspect to say, has this chain been broken at any point in time? If so, when was it broken? Do we have any goods that have been damaged? We quantify how many have been damaged. We interpret policy, and we leave the rest to insurers. So that's basically what we do. We're inspecting products on arrival or during transit, at a point where transit stops for a moment, either to change to another mode of transport or whatever it is. We come in and we do those inspections.
Oh, wonderful.
Yes.
Thank you. So quite a comprehensive set of services that you guys have at Loss Management Consultancy International.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me remind you once again that we are live speaking to Nyasha Mareya, who is the Executive Director of Loss Management Consultancy International. You will note that in our caption and in the comment section, we have shared a link that you can click on if you would like to call and ask any questions. If not, please feel free to comment or to just write down your question in the comment section. So maybe, Nyasha, let's speak to the younger complement of our viewers. Perhaps there's a young person out there who wants to know more about loss adjusting or to get into this field of services that you've mentioned. Are there any particular courses of study that one can think of so that they can get into these particular fields?
Okay, I actually have very good news for our viewers, Big Budge, because the very nature of insurance itself is diverse and very vast.
Yes,
So basically what we would say is we look at the insurance contract as a legal document. So already before we start, we're picking on the lawyers. Somebody who can interpret policy can be trained and become a loss adjuster. We look at engineers, for example. There's engineering insurance, which is highly complex in nature, and it actually requires specialization. This is where we recruit engineers. In LMCI, we actually have quite a lot of engineers, more engineers than any other profession on the group, because we're specializing in the complex claims as well. And then you'll find that, like the definition I gave you of the loss adjuster, it's going out on site, being the eyes and the ears of the insurer, and bringing back to the insurer who sits in the office and is not out where you've gone as a loss adjuster, something that is comprehensive to enable them to make a decision that is sound, that results in fairness and equitability towards the client. So basically now we're talking about your journalists. A journalist can be trained to become a loss adjuster. They know how to ask the proper questions. They know how to report, so they would make a good loss adjuster. We look at your accountants. In insurance, we've got a highly complex cover that's called business interruption. And this is basically where due to a material damage that one has suffered, say in a factory, plant has been damaged by something that is insurable. It has to be an insurable event. You are covered for your loss of profits. So basically now this is where as LMCI would work with our accountants, and where it's highly complex, we actually call in forensic accountants to be able to calculate that loss of profit so that the insured can be indemnified for the time that they're down and they're losing out on what would have been their profits. So accountants can also be, and the list goes on.
The list goes on.
Yes.
Wow, wonderful. And you did say that you are chartered.
I am a Chartered Institute of Loss Adjusters, Loss
Yes.
Adjuster. I'm CILA certified,
CELA
yes.
certified.
Yes.
Wonderful. So you're certainly learning a lot. And we have a comment here. Let me just check it out. From, it should be Timmy. Sorry, my technology here. Timmy Timex Piri, who says, quite insightful. And I do agree with you, Timmy Timex Piri, because I'm also learning a lot about this loss
you.
adjustment. Okay, so maybe to take you a bit back, like how did you and Mr. Lawrence identify this particular sphere, this particular field? Because like I for one have a finance background, and then of course knowing a lot about insurance and the like, I hadn't seen this. How were your eyes opened to this particular gap?
I think, first of all, just to say that every opportunity will present itself as adversity, or should I say most opportunities present themselves as adversity. Basically, when I met him and we were friends, he was a claims manager at one reputable insurance company. And I would watch him every day whilst I was studying, because we were very close like that. We would spend study time together. He's literally working, and I would be asking, what is it that you're working on every night? Why do you take this? Can't you study with me?
Wow.
And he says no, because there's so few loss adjusters in the market, and basically I need to be up reading their reports to improve on my turnaround time as a claims manager. So simply for me it was, why don't you be the loss adjuster?
Wow.
Because one thing that was certain when I met my husband is we envisioned ourselves impacting nations, touching the lives of people, and providing solutions. So we would not discount anything that presented itself as an opportunity. So we sat down. His background, he had a perfect background, tailor-made made for loss adjusting. He'd been in insurance, he was an engineer, and I had the company formations background, so I understood how to form the companies and how to expand. So together we just came in and we hit the road running.
Really a match made in heaven.
It was, thank you.
Wonderful. And I think something that we as young people in business should understand is how you said you had always had a vision. It's important for us to have a vision. And your vision entailed the impacting of lives.
Yes.
Right, wonderful. No, that's very inspiring. So let's see how our visions should incorporate this aspect of trying to impact or improve the lives of others and find solutions to problems, as you'd mentioned. Now that we talk about impact and solutions, is there perhaps any community development or social kind of work that LMCI is involved in? And I think I forgot to highlight that you are present in more than one country.
Yes, we are
Perhaps touch on
actually.
that too, please.
Thank you, Big Budge. We are in 5 countries. We're in Zimbabwe, Zambia, Mozambique, Botswana, and Malawi. We opened in Malawi. This was in May of this year.
Wow.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you so
with,
much.
With the COVID pandemic and everything, you're still going on.
There was no stopping. I actually lost my husband in May, but because we've incorporated a lot of people into our vision, they were able to continue with his vision to say this is what he would have wanted, so we will continue with the expansion drive, and I'm really grateful that they went ahead with it.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Wonderful. And then now maybe perhaps touch on what you guys might be doing in communities in the different countries, if there's anything.
Yes, like we were saying, we had a vision. We started from the end of what we wanted to see, going back to the beginning. And like we were saying, we envisioned ourselves impacting and touching lives. We always used to discuss on Helen Keller. She's a political activist of a century ago, but she's still influencing even up to now. She would say, where there is no vision, hope loses its soul.
Wow.
Imagination loses its outcome. And innovation loses its future. So basically, where there's no vision, there's no going. So because we thought of impacting people, we have been warmly received in the communities that we've operated in. So it was only natural for us to want to go out and to give back. I'm biased towards Botswana because this is where I'm at. I'll start with Botswana. We've, for example, gone out to University of Botswana in a career guidance thrust where we spoke to students from various faculties, letting them know what we're sharing right now about loss adjusting so that they could map a career path consciously thinking of becoming loss adjusters, because we think that it does improve the insurance market the more we bring in qualified loss adjusters who have actually taken up the requisite training and can discharge the duties as per the charter and the guidelines of a loss adjuster. The market grows. So we've done that for UB, and now I'll combine all the countries. We've also adopted Home for the Disabled, where would find, for example, some would find difficulties in using the ordinary wheelchair, would buy electric wheelchairs sent to them, literally we had the more critical ones on medical aid, the LMCI medical aid. We've also done quite a lot of training, like especially after Cyclone Idai in the Mozambique market, for example. This is where we had our biggest conference. We called in the insurance market to say, this devastation from the cyclone, we were not prepared for it, but how can we better prepare for it? And so it was lessons learned from Cyclone Idai with a strategic perspective. We literally had the response was overwhelming. It was at our cost as LMCI, but we had reinsurers that partnered with us and sponsored some of the costs, and literally it was overwhelming. It was a huge conference. There was a lot to learn, and I believe should we encounter something else of that magnitude, we must be prepared, at least in the Mozambique market. And then also personally, my husband and I, we're also pastors, assistant pastors of Celebration Church. We have adopted an orphanage where we would take care of the orphans on the 16th of July. I actually spent quite a bit of time with them, socially distanced, of course. And we've also contributed to schools, sanitary wear for the girls. And that's basically what it is that we've done. And then also there are times where as loss adjusters, we're out in the market and we realize a gap in certain things that are happening. Like, for example, there's a time where we were noticing that there's an increase in fires, and we went, for example, on the Good Morning Show, BTV, and would speak on how to mitigate household fires. So we've done that as well, to say we've gone out on radio, on TV, to conscientize people on how to mitigate risks. And yeah, quite a lot actually in terms of training. We do like to impart knowledge and to ensure that risk is mitigated and brought to the bare minimum.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Wow, that's wonderful. You know, it's really great when companies do give back to the communities in which they serve. And I like the training aspect, because our show actually incorporates a 2-minute training session towards the end, called a 2-minute tip, because we believe in the impartation of skills just as much as you do. And thank you for what you are doing, because this shows that if you are able to approach the university in itself, you believe not just in what you are doing as the loss adjusters, but also in the future, because you're trying to build or inculcate that culture within the young people so that they can become or professionalize your industry.
That is true.
Just aside of which we'll get to, I think there's a question here. It says, how much are your valuations? This is Catherine Sides Waheng. Catherine Sides Waheng, who says, how much are your valuations and where are your offices located? And then maybe when you answer this, do state the type of valuations once again that you do and differentiate from the other type that you mentioned.
All right. Many thanks, Catherine. We do asset valuations. This is your buildings. We can value your home for you, Catherine. That would be starting from as little as 1,500 pula to, I wish I could say to infinity, but yeah, depending on the mode of construction of the house, the location and so forth. There are a lot of dynamics that are involved, but we give you a quotation even before we start. So expect something around 1,500 if it is a low to medium kind of costing house. And then also we do vehicle valuations, which I hope Catherine is asking of, because we normally get those from the general public. And those are 250 per vehicle if it's just the ordinary type of vehicle, and if we're going into your trucks, it would go to 350 going up. Yes. And then also we value plant and machinery. For that, we would need an inventory so that we can do a quotation.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
No, that's great. Catherine, I hope at least part of your question there was answered, because I'm sure you will talk about the office location as we proceed on the show. So, Catherine, thank you so much there for your question. We hope that you've gotten some insight. Now, you did touch on the aspect of you being a multinational organization, a lot of cross-border collaboration. What would you say at the present moment is the vision that you have for Loss Management Consultancy International?
Thank you, Big Budge. Basically, we were looking into starting off with sub-Saharan Africa, going all the way through Africa, and our vision is a global vision. We envisage going out, taking it out from Africa to the outside world, because even as we speak right now, we are in partnership with Advanta Global Services, and as their name suggests, they're a global loss adjuster with their head office in the UK. So basically, there's a wealth of skills and knowledge transfer between LMCI and Advanta as we work with as an association.
All right.
Yes.
Sorry, I think we have a call over there. Sorry to interrupt you with that, but
that's okay.
it's great that we have a call. Hello, caller.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hello, yes, we can hear you. Please tell us who you are and where you're calling from.
My name is Tatiana and I'm calling you from Cape Town, South Africa.
Wow, Tatiana. Thank you so much for calling in. Thank you so much. Yes, your question, your comment?
Thank you for the insightful presentation to Nyasha Grace Mareya. And I have a question for her in terms of that I see the interview is mainly targeted to the youth. So I will ask two questions. And my first question would be, what has been the impact of COVID on loss adjusting, or how do you feel you have responded to COVID as loss adjusters in during the pandemic? And then subsequently, why I ask this question is generally with the youth, we see that there's a skills deficit all over the, what would you say would attract the youth into your market? Because I think right now everybody is looking at career options that can thrive during a time such as COVID. I hope my question is clear.
Thank you so much for that, for the two questions, actually, Tatiana in Cape Town. So she's asking about the impact of COVID on your sector and the like, and for youth, perhaps how can they feel motivated to jump in there?
Okay, thank you so much, Tatiana. And firstly, you were asking how we have been impacted as loss adjusters by the COVID pandemic. I would say to you in response that mainly our work as loss adjusters is on-site work. We are outside of the office people. So basically, with the lockdowns and everything going on, you'd find that a loss would be experienced, and when it comes time to go on site, you cannot go on site because there is a lockdown. Yes, we were specialist services, we were allowed to go out, but basically what you would encounter is perhaps the person you're supposed to be meeting on site is COVID positive. Some actually have COVID restrictions where they're not allowing anyone on site. So basically what we have done with our association with Advanta is we were trying to come across ways of doing, for example, smart loss adjusting assessments and smart risk surveys. This is, for example, where we are acquiring smart glasses where we do not need to be there in person, or we would do the WhatsApp calls and desktop assessments. So that's basically what we were trying to do to limit the on-site inspections. But unfortunately, nothing beats the online, the in-person inspection, because you need to look at somebody's bodily conduct and so forth. It's an investigation, really. So there's a lot to it there. So that's how we've been affected as loss adjusters. But we're trying to take everything as much as we can to the virtual platform. And the next question was
youth, in terms of how they can perhaps get an interest because they're looking for careers which can thrive even despite what the COVID pandemic has caused?
Yes, like I said, Tatiana, the loss adjusting arena is so vast and diverse in its nature. It is almost all inclusive because the insurance in itself is a legal contract, like we said. So there's a lot of opportunities, like I've said, for engineers, for your lawyers, for your accountants to come in. So just that diversity is, whoever you are, you can get in touch and check whether your skill can be made and tailor suited to loss adjusting. And it most probably is a yes, because as diverse as the losses that are experienced on a day-to-day basis are, so are the diverse qualifications that are needed to be able to adjust a loss. Thank you.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Tatiana in Cape Town, we certainly hope that your question there was answered. The comment section is blowing up here. We've got Inspector Khope Bakang saying, nice show. D. Mrange, who says, very informative. Odi Mai Tandi says, very informative. And then Cass the Spoko says, what do you think is the best method of risk management? Perhaps just briefly, what do you think would be the best method of risk management?
Best method of risk management is trying to transfer the risk. This is why we talk about insurance. Insurance is all about looking into, you want to start your business, what if you suffer a theft and you lose everything that you invested in your business? You can either choose to avoid and not open the business at all, or you can choose to transfer, which is to insure. So I would say for any risk that you have, check whether it is an insurable risk, transfer the risk, and get on with life.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you. That was short, succinct.
Thank you.
And perhaps the last one, someone here, Kate Sibbs, is just asking, how often does one need to value their vehicle or their property?
Okay, I would say, like I was saying, insurance policies are annually based. So at the end of every year, you can go in and get your vehicle valued.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. So before we close, let me just ask you how we can follow the LMCI, Loss Management Consultancy International Journey, where your offices are located, and how we can follow you personally, Grace Mareya, on whether it's online. Where can we catch you?
Thank you so much. We are in Main Mall at 205 Independence Avenue. That's 205 Independence Avenue in Main Mall, opposite the Daily Grind. And you can follow us as Loss Management Consultancy on Facebook, on Twitter, on LinkedIn, and on Instagram. And I also am there as Grace Mareya, or Grace Nyasha Mareya, or Grace Reyes on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter as well.
Wonderful. So, Ms. Nyasha Grace Mareya, let me thank you so much for spending your time on the show. Perhaps let me speak to this particular comment which says, who knew it's this affordable to get your vehicle valued? This is Nombulelo Pepe, who says, who knew it's this affordable to get your vehicle valued? Great show. Thank you so much. Grace Nyasha Mareya, thank you so much for coming into the studio. We really appreciate your time and information.
Thank you for having me, Big Budge.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, before we close the show, we will come back for our 2-minute tip, but please allow us to go for a short commercial. We'll be right back.
Motswana are, se tshwara ke ntjapedi ga se thata. That's my motivation, Hamajita Bampata. To work or just to hang, it's always a collective effort with my people, Batobali, whether ke vatse or hello. We all know where the respect should go. Jaaka re rutile, ke mabutsa pele, matlhogo tshweu, di tswa mmu, di teemane tsa kgale. Ba re bopile, ba re agile, jaanong ke nako ya monana wa maloba. Le tlhabile la motsogapele, motlhabeledi wa pina ke molaodi wa yona. Today, my stripes don't define me. We do.
right, ladies and gentlemen, apologies for the slight technical glitch there, but I was going to say that before we get into today's 2-minute tip, let me thank you so much for the engagement on today's show. And in honor of your comments section, we will bring Miss Nyasha Mareya back again to answer a few more questions here. We have Mumpuluki Paul D. Madibela, who says, wow, this is very informative. Thank you so much for this discussion on the show. I would like to know more from Grace about the importance of proof of pre-loss to clients. Proof of pre-loss to clients.
Okay, he sounds like he's got a bit of an insurance background there. So I'm going to try and break it down to the regular listener here. Basically, when you insure something, for example, your household contents, insurers don't come on the ground to see exactly what it is that you have. So it is up to you to ensure that whatever it is that you're holding, you're asking them to hold is covered, is insured at the correct value. But now the issue arises when a loss is incurred. And now you say, I've lost my watch. There was a break-in and my watch was stolen. I spoke of your watch because I could see yours.
Thank you very much.
So basically, your insurers would want the proof to say, Big Budge, did you really have the watch? So what we normally ask for would be, if it has diamonds like yours or cubic zirconia, is for the valuation report which you put in on the day that you insured it. Or if you do not have that, we can be kind, because there are laws such as the TCF, treat the client fairly, that are coming in. We will say, give us a photo of yourself wearing the watch. Give us a receipt of purchase. Because what is happening, especially in this time of pandemic, there's a lot of fraudulent claims that are coming in, where, for example, when you've suffered a loss, you will throw in the watches and the diamond rings that really were not there to begin with. So it's that important. And the onus of proof of pre-loss possession lies with the insured. You are held to proof by the insurance companies. It's legal that you need to provide the proof. Yes, you're not held to absolute proof, but you need to provide the proof.
Need to provide it.
Yes.
Thank you so much for that. Mumpuluki Paul D. Madibela, I hope that you've been answered there with respect to proof of pre-loss to clients. And thank you to Tafadzwa Segura Chawafambira for saying this is very informative. Thank you. Right. So, ladies and gentlemen, what we do on our show towards the end is give you a 2-minute tip to help you navigate whatever business challenges you might be facing, or if you're a professional, to help you navigate whatever ups and downs that you're facing in your career and profession. However, today's 2-minute tip is rather a word of advice to young people with businesses and projects here in Botswana. As you may know, the YDF Youth Development Fund has extended its deadline for submissions to the 20th of August. Am I right? Yes, the 20th of August, that's it. So please ensure that whatever comprehensive submissions you have, take them there whilst there's still time, because I'm sure they will be flooded with applications. And if at any point in time you require assistance with respect to your submissions, you can email info@governancegroup.org. That is info@GOVERNANCE, governance group, GROUP.org. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's see that we take advantage of this opportunity of YDF, Youth Development Fund, as organized by our Ministry of Youth, Sport and Culture Development. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been an amazing show. Thank you so much for your time and for your engagement. It's a pleasure, as always, to see how young people are reacting to this, which we started out as a very small project, and to see the growth. It's all because of you. Thank you so much. So from me, Big Budget, and the team that makes it happen, Black Network, Moana Pictures, it's good night and God bless. And never forget that you were born for so much more.